Hello, I am Pam Hall, and this is Progressives. There is much discussion about Bernie Sanders' policies that skew the facts, a lot of subjective or intentionally misleading reporting instead of being objective, as good reporters strive to do. And since misinformation seems to be the norm of the day, with the current administration, I've decided to share what is actually on Bernie's website. It is clear to see that Bernie's policies truly do not divide or exclude anyone and plan ahead for a peaceful future on our planet. The Constitution of the United States is adhered to in Bernie's policies, and therefore is opportunity and justice for all. People that can afford to pay their fair share of taxes would be required to do so, giving much needed relief to those struggling to get by. Civilized societies do this. They do not leave it up to the whims of various religious sects, which have shown a history of corruption. The way to address this is not currently occurring in government. Any position of power should have to be properly vetted. Even the more entry-level jobs have background checks for not only criminal behavior, but various other tests, including but not limited to health, financial, and drug use. When narcissists, especially the sociopathic variety, have power, let alone unlimited power, the collateral damage is far too great to the people, planet, and all living things. Besides airing locally on MCTV, that's short for Midland Community Television, the show is also on podcast to conveniently listen to the content. There is a YouTube link as well that has all the content that is covered, shown graphically at the end of the program, to be easily referred later. Roosevelt's Square Deal, a domestic program calling for several reforms to dissolve the unholy alliance between corrupt business and corrupt politics, is the first task of the statesmanship of the day. Roosevelt's progressive platforms had restrictions on campaign finance contributions, a reduction of the tariff, and the establishment of a social insurance system, an 8-hour workday, and a woman's suffrage. Bernie's College for All and cancel student debt will cost $2.2 trillion to make public colleges, universities, and trade schools tuition-free and to cancel all student debt over the next decade. It is fully paid for by a modest tax on Wall Street speculation that will raise an estimated $2.4 trillion over 10 years. Bernie's expanding Social Security bill to expand Social Security will increase benefits for low-income senior citizens and people with disabilities by more than $1,300 a year. It is fully paid for by making the wealthiest 1.8% of Americans those with incomes over $250,000 a year pay the same rate into Social Security as working families. This bill will also extend the solvency of Social Security into the year 2070, ensuring that Social Security can pay every benefit owed to every eligible American for the next 50 years. Bernie's Housing for All. Bernie's proposal to guarantee housing as a human right and to eliminate homelessness will cost $2.5 trillion over the next decade. But it is fully paid for by a wealth tax on the top 1/10 of 1%, those who have a net worth of at least $32 million. Bernie's wealth tax will raise a total of $4.35 trillion. Bernie's universal health care, child care pre-K, Bernie's proposal to guarantee universal child care and preschool to every family in America who needs it will cost $1.5 trillion. It is fully paid for by a wealth tax on the top 0.1%, those who have a net worth of at least $32 million. Bernie's wealth tax will raise a total of $4.35 trillion. Bernie's eliminating medical debt. Bernie has introduced a proposal to eliminate all of the $81 billion in past due medical debt held by 79 million Americans. It is fully paid for by establishing an income inequality tax on large corporations that pay CEOs at least 50 times more than the average workers. Bernie's Green New Deal. The $16.3 trillion climate change proposal that Bernie has introduced will fundamentally transform our energy system away from fossil fuel and towards energy efficiency and renewable energy. It will also create 20 million good-paying union jobs in the process. It is fully paid for by raising $3.085 trillion by making the fossil fuel industry pay for their pollution through litigation, fees, and taxes, and eliminating federal fossil fuel subsidies, generating $6.4 trillion in revenue from the wholesale of energy produced by regional power marketing administrations. This revenue will be collected from 2023 to 2035, and after 2035, electricity will be virtually free, aside from operations and maintenance costs, reducing defense spending by $1.215 trillion by scaling back military operations and protecting the global oil supply, collecting $2.3 trillion in new income tax revenue from the 20 million new jobs created by the plan, saving $1.31 trillion by reducing the need for federal and state safety net spending due to the creation of millions of good-paying unionized jobs, raising $2 trillion in revenue by making large corporations pay their fair share of taxes. So the key points are, by averting climate catastrophe, we will save $2.9 trillion over 10 years, $21 trillion over 30 years, and $70.4 trillion over 80 years. If we do not act, the United States will lose $34.5 trillion by the end of the century in economic productivity. Bernie's Medicare for All, according to a February 15, 2020 study by epidemiologists at the Yale University, a Medicare for All bill that Bernie wrote would save over $450 billion in healthcare costs and prevent 68,000 unnecessary deaths each and every year. What our current system costs over the next decade, over the next 10 years, national health expenditures are projected to total approximately $52 trillion if we keep our current dysfunctional system. How much will we save? According to the Yale study and others, Medicare for All will save approximately $5 trillion over that same time period. $52 trillion subtract $5 trillion equals $47 trillion. Total, how we will pay for it. Current federal, state, and local government spending over the next 10 years is projected to total about $30 trillion. The revenue options Bernie has proposed total $17.5 trillion. $30 trillion plus $17.5 trillion equals $47.5 trillion total. Since 2016, Bernie has proposed a menu of financing options that would more than pay for the Medicare for All legislation he has introduced, according to the Yale study. These options include creating a 4% income-based premium paid by employees, exempting the first $29,000 in income for a family of 4. In 2018, the typical working family paid an average of $6,015 in premiums to private health insurance companies. Under this option, a typical family of 4 earning $60,000 would pay a 4% income-based premium to fund Medicare for All on income just above $29,000. So just $1,240 a year, saving that family $4,775 a year. Families of 4 making less than $29,000 a year would not pay this premium. Revenue raised about $4 trillion over 10 years, imposing a 7.5% income-based premium paid by employers, exempting the first $1 million in payroll to protect small businesses. In 2018, employers paid an average of $14,561 in private health insurance premiums for a worker with a family of 4. Under this option, employers would pay 7.5% payroll tax to help finance Medicare for All. Just $4,500, a savings of more than $10,000 a year. Revenue raised over $5.2 trillion over 10 years. Eliminating health tax expenditures, which would no longer need to be needed under Medicare for All. Revenue raised about $3 trillion over 10 years. Raising the top marginal income tax rate to 52% on income over $10 million. Revenue raised about $700 billion over 10 years, replacing the cap on the state and local tax deduction with an overall dollar cap of $50,000 for a married couple on all itemized deductions. Revenue raised about $400 billion over 10 years. Taxing capital gains at the same rates as income from wages are cracking down on gaming through derivatives, like-kind exchanges, and the zero tax rate on capital gains passed on through bequests. Revenue raised about $2.5 trillion over 10 years. Enacting the 99.8% Act, which returns the estate tax exemption to the 2009 level of $3.5 million, closes the agrarious loopholes and increases rates progressively, including by adding a top tax rate of 77% on estate values in excess of $1 billion. Revenue raised $336 billion over 10 years. Enacting corporate tax reform, including restoring the top federal corporate income tax to 35%. Revenue raised $3 trillion, of which $1 trillion would be used to help finance Medicare for All, and $2 trillion would be used for the Green New Deal. Using $350 billion of the amount raised from the tax on extreme wealth to help finance Medicare for All. Bernie's policies make sense, common sense, and you can't take it with you. So when the billionaires are saying they're going to give all their money away to all these various organizations, at the end of the day, we need it now. We need it now to save the planet. We need it now for the people that are hungry, the people that are homeless, the people that are dying needlessly for lack of medical care. Thank you.